It's the 28th episode of the WWJ Industry Connected podcast, a monthly podcast devoted to the groundwater industry produced by the National Groundwater Association. I'm your host, Mike Price, and today we're joined by Chuck Kyle of Adapt Digital Solutions and Chuck the Contractor on YouTube. We discuss marketing to find labor help, the cultural shift needed in making the trades cool again, capturing industry knowledge before it leaves the building, and more. We welcome to the podcast Chuck Kyle of Adapt Digital Solutions to the podcast this morning. Chuck is the president of Adapt Digital Solutions and has written for Water World Journal over the years, presented at Groundwater Week and state association events, including the Pacific Northwest Conference. And we have him on today to talk about marketing and how that can help with both finding new clients and labor, new workers in our industry. Welcome to the podcast, Chuck.
Thanks, Mike. It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Please introduce yourself to our audience and what you've been up to lately.
Sure. So as you said, my name is Chuck, owner of Adapt Digital Solutions. I spent my whole life as a remodeling contractor, and in my early 30s, started venturing into marketing, found that I had a knack for it. And a few years into that, found myself speaking at the National Groundwater Association conference in Vegas. I was invited by the McElhenney lecture that year, and ended up working, a few of the contractors there ended up hiring us to do marketing. And I discovered how big of an opportunity it is in that industry because, frankly, the industry is pretty behind on the online marketing stuff. And so you could do just about anything and really succeed in it. And I like that. I'd like to work with people where it's really easy to get good results rather than struggling in the middle of LA to be the biggest remodeling contractor on the planet. So got involved with the industry, and I've just been involved ever since. Spoke at multiple of the state level conferences, a couple of the national ones, and even bought one of the big water well books. It's kind of like, Plan F, go drill wells, because I just think geology is really cool. And it's just really cool to be involved in it.
Excellent. Yeah. A super awesome industry. And we're really interested in hearing how marketing can both attract new clients and also new workers. That goes both ways. But today, 2026, we're talking April 21st. A lot of contractors don't need a ton of help finding new clients. Their workload is at a premium, is at the highest it can take right now. It's the labor help that is the number one issue for our industry and of nearly all trades for however many years is finding new help. So where to begin? Let's start with just how marketing can help find new help.
Sure. So I'll walk you through how I discovered this problem for myself. So speaking at conferences and talking about different versions of marketing, and it was maybe 2 or 3 conferences ago, and this was probably 2022. I get up there, whole bunch of people, there's 100 people in the room, and I say, all right, raise your hand if you're struggling to find enough customers. And one guy raised his hand. And then I said, raise your hand if you're struggling to find workers. And everybody's hands went up. And so I just took my speech and I threw it off the stage, and I had to kind of ad lib on that one. And what I talked about is similar to what I can talk about today, but it's just kind of my perspective on it. I don't have all the answers. It's not an easy problem to solve. My background's in the trades. I'm still involved in it. And in 2028, the amount of workers was cut by 60%. People just left the construction industry, and they've only come back 20% so far. I forget what the actual stats are, but and I'm a millennial, I'm 38, and my whole upbringing, everyone said you have to go to college, you have to work at a desk, you have to do all this, that is the way. And trades were kind of looked down upon, and I definitely see that switching. I know a lot of young people going into the trades, being very successful with it, but it's not happening fast enough to just solve all the problems. This is going to be like multiple decades of trying to figure this out. But that first conference that I was talking about, that whole lecture turned into just a conversation of like, well, what do you think needs to happen? What do you think needs to happen? And some good ideas were raised, like getting involved in the community and the schools, just raising awareness that there's this whole industry,
Right.
available to people that I didn't even know what groundwater was, before 2020. I just never thought of it. Like water comes out of the ground. I live over a giant aquifer. That's about all I knew.
Yeah.
But come to find out, there's a whole lot that goes into getting it out of the ground, making it, potable and everything like that. So, from my perspective, like I'm a business and marketing guy. So like I always think of those levers like marketing, pricing, speed, customer satisfaction. Like I think of all these things of what can we do? And my first thought then and still now is like, well, how do you attract like really high end people? Like you got to pay them more. Like it has to be attractive on the pay side. That's not the
Mhm.
only factor, but pay is super important. Um, and in order to pay them more, you have to raise your prices. And I got tons of pushback about that. It's like, well, we can't raise our prices because our customers can't afford to pay more. And it's like, okay, well, like you're in between a rock and a hard place here because pretty soon you won't even be able to have customers because you won't have a business anymore. And so like one of these things has to break first. And that's one argument to, even if you don't necessarily struggle to get enough customers, why marketing is still very important, because there's a lot of people with money still, and they're moving all over the place. A lot of them moving out of big cities where they're on city water into places where they need a well. And
Mhm.
these people can afford to spend whatever it costs to get a well drilled. And so maybe you do need to raise your prices so that for the people who you just maintain their water, who literally are on fixed incomes, can't afford it, like it gives you as a business some flexibility to kind of make up for that a little bit. Like I don't see it as immoral to charge different people different prices. Like I would expect to pay more for some things than somebody else because I can. And I want value, I want quality, I'm willing to pay for it.
Right.
So the price thing, that was a big thing. Like I
Yeah.
got tons of pushback for that of, well, we can't raise our prices. People can't afford it. It's like, okay, well, then you're the one that's kind of stuck. Um, and I think people, business owners are getting more sophisticated with business in general. We've got YouTube, we've got AI, like we have so much information at our fingertips that we didn't have 10 years ago. And what I see very few people doing, but there's some, like my friend Zane, for example, he owns an engineering company and they've got two marketing funnels. One faces the customer side and one faces the employee side. And they both look very similar. When a customer comes in, they find you on Google, they find you on your website, they get referred, whatever. They come in, they fill out a form or they call. You go through an interview process to go figure out what they want, give them an estimate, sign a contract. Then you get the work done and then you collect the payment. And then hopefully they become a repeat client on the back end.
Right.
And a very similar process is mirrored on the employee side. And what Zane's doing is he is always like you can find a lot of engineers on LinkedIn. Engineers use LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They're reaching out to people on LinkedIn every day. People who already have jobs, not job boards, not resumes. They're reaching out to like anybody who kind of fits their profile and just saying, "Hey, this is what we do. We do really good stuff. People like you, people of your quality seem to really like working with us. Let me know if you know anybody that might be looking for a job." And so you're not asking them specifically like, "Hey, do you want to come work for us?" You're saying, "Hey, you're really cool, so you must know other really cool people. So maybe you know somebody." And of course,
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, well, I'm interested." And so they come in and then there's an interview, and I don't know like who does the first interview, but I know Zane does one of the interviews, and he's kind of the final like, is this person staying on the list or are they not? They're not actually hiring right now. They're just trying to have a line of people that are of the highest quality they can find ready so that when they do need to hire someone, they can just pop someone in that place. And they're never just going and posting a job on Craigslist, or like they're never waiting till they're actually really need somebody, because if you wait till you really need somebody and then you just take the first person you can get, you're probably not going to get the highest quality person.
Hmm.
And so they're constantly marketing to get customers, they're constantly marketing to get employees, and they're just trying to balance that and build the business up. And I think that's a really smart approach, to just always be looking, always be hiring, even when you don't need somebody.
Yeah, I love that. I've heard that that idea from others in the industry. It's not super common, but having that continual funnel, having that mindset uh, throughout the whole year. Um, yeah, there's a lot. Our industry has so much going for it. We've got the heavy equipment that catches people's attention. We're entering, we're getting entering into the summer season. It's our busiest time of the year for work, and that's also the other time, the time of the year where there's the Touch a Truck events around the country, and Fourth of July parades, and just getting that equipment out there to help you, you know, grab attention and start a conversation with high schoolers, middle schoolers, whomever, about the industry. Like you said, to just get that recognition, that awareness of our industry out there is super important. Career days, just the traditional things that, contractors do. And then there's the technology, like you said, there's the LinkedIn and Waterwell guys as a group on Facebook. So Facebook, what would how have you seen any trade companies use well, just you can do use AI just to ask AI how can I recruit in the
Mhm.
trades and see what it feeds back, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's even companies doing recruiting in the trades that just use AI. They use AI to scrape all the job boards around the country. And I think there's a big emphasis on like finding people willing to relocate,
Mm,
because that's a big thing. If you're in
yeah.
a rural area, there's just not a big pool of people. But there's a lot of people all over the place who would love to get the heck out of the Bay Area, California, and move somewhere. And if you can find a high quality person who moves for a job, like they're a lot more likely to stick around, maybe, hopefully,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yeah.
As long as you make it worth their while. And like on that point of making it worth their while, like it brings me back to the pricing thing. And this is what I said, you know, one of my thoughts with that crowd was like, okay, you're unwilling to raise your prices. That's fine. People are not able or are not willing to spend more on it. Eventually, like it'll break. Eventually, the prices will go up. It'll be more scarce to actually get water on the ground, out of the ground, and
Yeah.
the market will kind of self correct that. But it is interesting times. Like, a lot more people might not be able to afford to live out of the city water areas. And, it's just going to be kind of weird on that front. But yeah, I think you can really, if you get your front end marketing dialed in, and I know it's kind of weird when you have too many customers already and you can't raise your prices. But like if you can get your marketing in order, because it's so easy for most people, like you just have a good website, good Google profile, a little bit of search engine optimization, probably don't even have to run ads, and you just get a whole bunch of new, fresh people coming in. And it might be able to help you balance that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if you just have a book of clients and they can't afford to spend more, like you're kind of just locked into that situation.
Right. No, I love that. Yeah, I advise viewers to check out Waterwell Journal's website and look for Charles Kyle's Chuck's sorry.
All good.
We'll edit that out. Chuck's articles on marketing solutions for our industry. Um, what would be your pitch to an 18-year-old to get into the trades? What would be those things? What top line things are, yeah, the most important things to include in your pitch for a curious 18-year-old considering the trades?
Sure. So one thing might be it's kind of hard to communicate long term things with a young person, but like AI is a big thing right now where pretty much any job where you're looking at a screen with a computer in front of you is going to be dramatically changed by AI. And unless you're in the top tier of people utilizing AI to do the work of 1,000 people, like that job's just not very secure. It's very dynamic. Like you can ask all my staff, they're like super stressed out because they basically have to learn a whole new skill set in the last few months. And every couple of weeks, like there's sizable changes in everything we're doing, and it's stressful. It's like they just want to do the same thing they were doing last year, but it's just not an option anymore. And it's really good in that we're able to provide way higher quality and volume, but the downside is people are getting displaced and having to figure out new roles and new things to do, maybe that don't quite fit their temperament or what they're looking for.
Right.
But I don't see that happening to groundwater as quickly. And so there's definitely going to be security there. For young, ambitious people, like the opportunity is tremendous. Like you called it the silver tsunami. Like everyone who knows what they're doing is retiring and leaving the industry, and there's like creating a huge vacuum, a huge gap. And it just like plumbers are making multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars now. Like it's going to be the same, and certainly is in a lot of places, and it's just going to be in high demand. Like you never don't need water. Like it's kind of the cold, like our body's what, like 70% water or something.
Hmm.
Like it's boring, but the boring stuff is making such a comeback. 10, 20 years from now, it might just be the coolest thing ever if you know how to get water out of the ground. And all we know how to do is talk to a little AI computer and ask it to do things. So I think that awareness is good, but I think it's a cultural shift that needs to happen. It's just our values. Like when I was coming up, everyone valued a college degree, and that was really pushed by government subsidies. And now college costs so much that people are going into debt for their entire lives and coming out with a degree that got replaced by AI. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's crazy we had to get this far before people started to wake up and be like, oh, well, maybe this isn't a good idea. But people as a whole, we tend to do what we're told. Like we tend to just agree with the culture. So we need a cultural shift. Like trades need to be cool again. And I think they will be naturally, but we can come in and, be proud of what we're doing, be stoked about it. Like hold, like when I was working construction, like I worked for my dad for a long time. And then I went out and worked on a bunch of crews. And we just had this like air of superiority. We thought we were so cool, we're so badass.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. We work super hard. We're skilled. We do everything top level. And I think we need that attitude. And that's the kind of thing that grabs a young person because they're around people all the time that are walking around. It's like, bleh. And
Yeah.
then they see a bunch of guys jump out of a truck and they're like, and they get excited. So I
Yeah.
think we got to bring that back a little bit.
For sure. The honorable profession of using your two hands is, is there's something about, creating, helping construct something, remodel something, bring uh, groundwater out of the ground. That there is compared to, yeah, the more office setting type jobs. There's just a real neat, uh, honorable allure to it that needs to be tapped into great more greatly.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like make it cool again. There needs to be movies about people moving mountains.
Yeah,
Like it's crazy how much we're able to influence our environment, but that just has kind of been out of vogue for a while, but I think it's coming back.
cool. is there anything else? Yeah, the silver tsunami, the knowledge cliff, whatever you want to call it, valuable valuable knowledge is walking out the door unless it's captured somehow and preserved. Do you have any thoughts on how companies
Yeah,
should view that? Lastly, with
definitely.
you.
Yeah. So right now, this whole AI movement is displacing a lot of really talented people. And they're talented in the information age type stuff, the computer stuff, the video, the courses, the training, the databases, the capturing of data. These people are going to be desperately looking for work. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if groundwater companies end up having a guy who's a videographer, a marketer, a a course producer. Like there should be a bunch of small businesses putting out super high quality content, teaching these skills and just putting it out there because it is so cheap and fast to make this stuff now that like with AI, one person could do what it would take 100 people to do, and they can do something in a week that would have taken those 100 people like 3 months.
Hmm.
It's just ridiculous. And it's people like I'm in the thick of it. I'm right on the edge. I've been for 2 years. So like I'm like painfully aware of this, but I'm like one out of 10,000. But that's gonna change. And like it's just getting so good. If you know how to communicate what you want, like the AI will do it. It's like, it's not quite it. Throw it away, try again, throw it away, try again. And it won't be long, probably a week or two before Claude is one of the AIs I use, before
Yeah.
Claude can just edit your videos for you. It's like it's already doing graphic design as of 4 days ago. Now, so I
Yeah.
think pretty soon you're going to have a lot of tools in the hands of people who maybe didn't pay attention to this stuff before that will enable them to capture a lot of this information, to train it more and just to get more exposure on it. So, yeah, I mean, AI is changing everything, but I think there's just going to be so many people doing things very soon that you just never would have done it before because it took so much time and work and money. And I find myself doing that kind of stuff every day. Like this probably won't mean a whole lot to you, but we manage about 150 websites. Yesterday, from my phone, I created a tool that scans all of those websites every day, and it has a standards document, and it looks for ways that those websites don't meet our standards and then alerts my team. I would have never built that before. That's ridiculous. But now I can build it and it exists. And now it raises our level of service so much. And so that's going to be just infiltrating everything. And your imagination is really the only limit.
Hmm.
And it'll get into the trades, it'll get into groundwater. You're going to have guys out there with their phone making videos, doing stuff, and press a button, and then AI is going to edit it and post it on YouTube for them. And there's just going
Right.
to be so much information and content out there about this.
Yeah, the HVAC industry, I think, is commonly uses AI to do training videos on YouTube for the industry and whatnot. Okay. Um, well, you've got a few clients who are contractors who you do marketing work for. So just tell the audience where you're located on the interweb and what all you provide to round out things here.
Okay. So yeah, my company is Adapt Digital Solutions. You can Google us, adaptdigitalsolutions.com. We work with all types of trades, all types of contractors around the country. We've got a dozen or so groundwater people scattered all over. And we do websites, like basically anything on Google. We're really good at that. We do some offline stuff, like we do all your print, yard signs, things like that. And then there's a piece of it that's we're kind of like your outsourced marketing department. So like our best clients, our most successful clients are the one that just focus on their business. We handle their marketing. We put our heads together all the time and just make sure we're constantly aligned. and we get to do that. We get to handle that part of other people's businesses.
Cool. And lastly, you've helped the companies you've worked with in our industry. They don't need help finding labor help anymore, correct? Was that something that
I
resolved on its
mean,
own?
I don't know if it's completely resolved, but I don't hear too many complaints. They're definitely busy.
Yep. Well, Chuck, thanks so much for your time and insight into this area of our industry and in business. So
Sure, my pleasure.
appreciate it.
Hmm. Glad to be here. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks for watching and listening to the WWJ Industry Connected podcast. We'll be back next month with a brand new episode, so be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the major platforms, so it will be easy to find us. And visit waterworldjournal.com for the latest expert columns, feature articles, videos, and news covering the groundwater industry. So one more time for Chuck and I, thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.